Dr. Bourff, how many portables would we be demonstrating?
I believe we still would have
35, but it will somewhat depend on how much of the grandfathering might occur. And so once we get to the grandfathering process, then will be determined by location how many we might be able to do.
Did you say 5?
ultimately, we think we would be eliminating all but 5 in the first year. So we hope we would finally eliminate.
Regarding portables at Durban, how, we have an issue there with, really good infrastructure. They have a septic, they have a well. We've had well issues in the past. So how much can that facility handle as far as extra portables?
I'm not prepared to respond to that. We have to have some sort of engineering analysis. Obviously, we did.
Very aggressive or no? No.
I think we would have to really study that, see how much more could be handled, but I don't imagine it would be too many more.
How many are there now?
4.
Four. And add one. So that is probably a pretty stressful on the system, the facility itself, because it is old and all stuff.
And you have to be cautious about the distance from a portable to a restroom.
I know
There are legal requirements to be met there. I don't know what those are. Again, I'm not prepared to respond if we can get more out there. It's just that there are things that would have to be evaluated.
I don't think they're asking for more portables. Was that misunderstood? I've got the class sizes, and the fourth grade out now is greater than even taking into consideration private, even taking into consideration private kindergarten and fourth graders coming out are less from the November 2nd campus. So I don't think we would need more portables.
You know how many people are in that?
131, 132.
I have it here, Mr. Berkey, if you'd like your own copy. I made it. Where exactly are those? I've got such a bad headache, I've got a 4 on my green. Let's see.
So can we go more into the 60s?
131, 132. Can you show me your own map? Okay. Now that's not built out.
That's how many it is right now.
How many people, how many you had? How many did you see? Now,
What it shows is K through 4, it's 66.
66. How quickly if it's hard to sell and get in to keep out. I don't know how you can.
It depends on interest rates, it depends on consumer demand. It's only an educated guess of everybody.
Karen at Cooperative Strategies looked into that for us. Remember, didn't she say she thought it would be 5 years until that built-in would result in grade school?
That's not even what I'm
I will make a comment too that maybe is good for the public to hear. We get, as board members, we get a fair number of emails on various different topics. And it's pretty rare to get a thank you or an attaboy kind of comment. Usually it's something's wrong, we need help with this, fix this, those types of comments. And after this last redistricting plan, we got 15 positive attaboy, we support this emails. And so I asked around, for those who've been here longer, if we ever gotten 15 positive responses to anything, and no one could remember more than 2 on any one topic. Not that that means that the plan is perfect, but I will also tell you that 2 of those emails came from that square that said, please don't move us back to Durban, we want to be a South Eastern Elementary School. So there's, I know it's not unanimous, but we got that based on those emails. And it may not be anybody sitting in this room right now, but I did get 2 people who said they were in the neighborhood in that square. So, other comments?
But I did want to talk about the river neighborhoods versus the apartments. And I did send forward my comments concerning that. And optics play a big role, or they can, and I do think that the map that is included in board docs today does skew the optics to make it look like it is an island. And I think one of our speakers was very good in saying that, you know, you can argue that the river neighborhoods are also an island. You can put any color you want to on commercial property, and Crown Prairie makes it look like the rest of the surrounding area, but, and I would argue that Sun Lake Apartments, straight up that strip that borders 37 is all commercial, and that could be brown as well, and it will not look like an island, and it will not be an island, just as the optics for the other side look. I was very surprised because before I sent that email to the board, I thought, okay, what if 100% of the Sun Lake apartment kids were free and reduced lunch, and none of the river neighborhoods were? And just ran those numbers, and it would have been 40% free and reduced lunch in Harrison Parkway, which I thought, you know, we can't do that. We can't have one school that lopsided. But it's not. I mean, surprisingly, it made the free and reduced lunch go down at Harrison Parkway and up in Griffin. So, and the blindsiding thing as well, I completely agree with what has been said, and I believe it was 2 out of 3 of the ones that were out there for the community to look at had Sun Lake Apartments moving. 0 out of 3 had those river neighborhoods moving. Now, the 2 out of 3 plans where they were moving, they weren't going to Harrison Parkway, they were going across 37, I believe, to Cumberland Road. But I truly believe that when you look at all 3 plans and, oh, hey, we're not moving on all of them, and then the final plan comes out that here's what we're going with, and it shows you're moving, that's a blindside. When 2 out of 3 are showing that you're moving, and then you end up moving to a different school, that's not being blindsided, in my opinion. And I also do think that the homeowners, the stability comment, I completely believe that. By virtue of living in an apartment, you're on a lease. You're on month to month, year to year. And you aren't, maybe some people do, but you're not planning on living there long term. And I would venture to guess, just completely a guess, but were any of those families who are living there right now there 4 years ago when the river neighborhoods got moved? And I know that neighborhood's always been in Britain, at least for the since I can remember. I've been, it's 9 years ago now that I've been in New Britain, and they've always been there. And
also factoring in the Fishers High School, or Fishers Elementary School, what's going to happen with that. And I would argue that those same river neighborhoods, if we are to redo Fishers, near Ritchie Woods, has been floated out there. Now, there's a lot of ifs, I know, on that, but if we were to do that, those are the prime neighborhoods that will be moved. In fact, I believe they were at Fishers Elementary School 4 years ago, so they're going to move anyway. I thank you for the map on straight up Lantern Road, because that's a great visual, and some of us drove to Concord Prairie for legislative breakfast last Friday, and it is that intersection at 131st and Allisonville, I believe, is closed. You can, now granted, hopefully it'll open in the fall, but there's a lot of construction on Allisonville, and I strongly believe that, I know it's showing up red on the map, but I don't see it that way. I would like to, although it's late in the game, but I'd love to go back and look at those two plans where the apartments were moving. Was there a lot of pushback on that? Because I think we do need to think of our families who are have made the commitment to buy a home and honor, I don't want to sound like an elitist, but and look at their commitment to buy a home, their commitment to pay the referendum and through their property taxes directly, that they have a little more skin in the game than somebody who's on a month-to-month or at least year-to-year lease. So that would be my my reason for wanting to honor that, the river neighborhood and the Sunlight Apartments. So I mean, at this point, do we, with this process, if I feel so moved, I could make a motion to amend it, or well, just for that part.
I think first we have two choices. One is make a motion to approve the recommended plan, and then before we vote on it, then make amendments to that recommended plan. Or Plan B, which could get more convoluted, I think, is if we say, I make a motion to accept the recommended plan plus A and C, or what of those different recommendations. I think it's cleaner if we just say, let's recommend the recommended plan, and then let's bring amendments one by one to the recommended plan.
So are you suggesting that if you have more than one amendment, you have to do it again and again, or you have
We
all
would,
at
so
once?
according to parliamentary procedure, Dan may correct me on this. If we make amendments, the amendments will get voted on first before we vote on the final recommendation. So a recommendation is made, then there would be amendments recommended. We would vote on those recommendations, those amendments, up or down on those amendments. If the amendment passed, then it's going to be included in that recommendation. If the amendment fails, it would not be included in that recommendation. But Zach, can I call you out a second? Zach McKinney, transportation guy, the guy that calls you when there's snow. Zach, so Lantern Road, just want to make sure I understand. So Lantern Road goes through a neighborhood starting at 131st Street. Do we have restrictions for using through a neighborhood as a through thoroughfare, or do we have to really kind of bypass around that neighborhood?
We don't necessarily have restrictions, however, we try to prevent the buses from doing that, because especially over, for instance, when 106th Street, through that construction process, we had a lot of buses that were trying to cut through that because of the other road and all that. So we try to reroute them around that so it's not disturbing. And then also the danger that causes with other students being at the stop. So we try not to cut through there. So we set those parameters, but it's not necessarily a given. Now 131st Street, Allisonville, all those construction projects should come to an end. And the plan there is for that to come to an end before they begin the process out on 37, so we don't have that headache with
When is
traffic.
Allisonville supposed to be done?
Right, well, 106th Street, that was time frame changed quite a bit. 131st Street in Allisonville, that opens up Saturday. I actually talked to Ron Lance this morning about that project. So Allisonville is moving along, actually shifting lanes this afternoon, so that should be coming here sooner than later.
So a year it's done, 2 years it's done?
They anticipate, the original plan for Allisonville was it to be completed before 126 and 37 began construction.
And that's
Because they know that that traffic obviously is gonna divert somewhere, and Allisonville's gonna be the overflow for that.
And 126 and 37 is scheduled to close on February of 19, is that right?
Correct. And they've already started doing that work. You can see it down, kind of in the subsection where they're doing all of the drainage and everything else. That construction's already began, we're just not seeing it on 37 yet.
A quick question, so this we gotta call them A, B, C, and D. So on the A, which is green, I can't understand why the C is yellow. Yeah,
Acreage neighborhood.
Oh.
Why it's yellow and
The
not
only reason we said that that would be yellow is small, well, if you did it for these students that want to do things, and it differs from the Logan's Point.
okay. And then on the, there's a couple comments, yeah, like, we'll just go up and back. I'm sure everyone is. And I think that's what strikes me on the river, I guess we want to put a better description. I do not feel it's reasonable to differentiate between houses and apartments. There's students in our district that are not, and I think we need to look at everyone equally in that regard. But I think the big difference is in the apartment shelter, I have not heard any feedback. So a lot of it on speculation, what they may or may not do or may or may not want. But, and as far as the, what did we say about the no surprise? Yeah, that was this last iteration, obviously. But clearly, that was a tough one on the river, and I think they've spoken pretty loudly, clearly, and consistently at 2 meetings, where the subject folks really, I have not heard any feedback from them. I don't know if anyone else has. So I don't know how to interpret that, because they were at North Cumberland Road, no feedback. North Cumberland Road, no feedback. Going, staying in Britain, no feedback. And then Cumberland Moving, no feedback. So I think that's, I think we could make an argument that we've got a lot of feedback on the other hand. But I don't do it differentiating, side of the home or renters or owners, sure there's rental properties and river neighborhoods too, so just something that's kind of what I'm weighing on that is from the that department. But I don't like to be surprised, I don't think anybody wants to be surprised, but it's not done until it's done, and that's, so I do respect trying to avoid any more surprise. I think is what the intent of these modifications was. That hasn't been the process throughout, because there's been surprises throughout.
I can tell you what the surprise is. 4 years ago, almost to the day, we were sitting with a school redistricting plan, and I had just been elected to the school board, I had not yet been seated, and a trade was made by the then sitting current board to switch out one neighborhood for another. The neighborhood that got switched was St. Woods. I lived there. And they had not been slated at any point in time. They weren't changed. That's last minute in my mind that they got switched. I went home, and over the next week, got inundated with people. And I can tell you there were about 10 of us that were close friends all together, and 9 of those homeowners were all out within 2 years because their feelings were hurt. And a lot of them were going to probably move anyhow because it was more starter homes, and they were going to go do their upgrade house. But it was interesting. That's last minute. And I remember somebody asking the question on the board, well, has anyone from that neighborhood commented on that? They were never being looked at. That, in my mind, is that last minute surprise that I don't want to be a part of.
That's fair. I think it was Sylvia.
In the end, it all worked out. Of all those people, I think most all of them still live in the school district. They're at different schools. They're all happy. I'm still friends. They still like me, thankfully.
No, that's a fair point, other than, in this case, they've been moving the whole time. Cumberland Road, Cumberland Road, you know, so to me, that's a difference. That's a very good point. That was very painful. And I know Sylvia regrets it.
It was okay.
But I guess to me, that's the difference though, is that it is a surprise that they've been moving, staying, and it's been radio silence. I don't know how to, it's hard to interpret that, where we made another change for the last meeting, which again was not malicious, but I think it was bad.
No, I think many of those changes, I think somebody asked about explanation, why changes on the west side. It has a lot to do with Highway 37 construction. When we said from Reynolds Farm Equipment north, to the extent possible, don't cross that highway, because of the construction, that's part of what sent that ripple effect into the west side, because with 2 of the 4 intersections being closed for the next 4 years, the idea of trying to get buses across there is going to be a serious. That's what created some of that ripple effect on the west side.
So, Mr. Berkey, are you saying that we have 4 different choices? We have the original version as presented by Dr. Bourff. We have version A, B, or C. So we have 4 different choices.
No, I think we have a base choice. It's whether you add any of those A, B, C, or D, or create all the above.
But we have to start with a motion just to get this thing moving.
I think that's
You don't have to do
Then I make a motion that we approve the redistricting as proposed, and any amendments are welcome.
Second. So I have a motion from Dr. Toll and a second from Mr. Bourff to approve the recommendation by Dr. Bourff's preferred redistricting plan.
Now, do we do the amendments before we vote?
We would do the amendments. Better get them before Berkey says vote.
I would like to make a motion to approve Amendment A.
That would be the lowest point.
Yeah,
Can we combine them?
no.
No.
Yes.
No, in your amendment, can you say, hey,
We approve the
A and
amendments,
B.
and then the big thing is going to, yeah.
But you just said,
No, I vote that we accept.
just A,
Well, but,
And then talk about the others.
yeah, that's what I
I see.
Yes. So I have a motion by Mr. Galusha on the first amendment to change the lowest point back to 0.
I'll second.
I have a second. So I have a motion by Mr. Galusha, a second by Mrs. Ford. Any further discussion or comments on that? Hearing none, I'll call for the question. Those in favor of approving that amendments? It's to switch slogans from back to Durban.
You need to get ready.
I'm right.
Vicky, are you getting that? Just say it's the green one. Sorry, we brought you in on a hard night. I don't normally do this. So those in favor of that motion signify by raising your right hand. Those opposed, same sign. Passes 5-2. Do we have any other amendments?
Now, I would like to make a motion to amend, make an amendment, to add the River Neighborhood Sun Lake switch. The red one. Yeah. B.
How many students, by the way, does that involve?
90.
90 in
And
the
I
red
can give you
neighborhoods, and how many
three.
in Sunlight?
I second.
So I have a motion by Mrs. Fuller and a second by Mr. Shepherd. Comments or questions on that?
And that's the one to move the apartment kids for the house kids.
Just,
Moving Sun Lake to Harrison Parkway, and then the river
And
stay.
I I would like to make a motion that the map be redrawn and not show that island, but to show that commercial ground as well. I know.
What? Because there are a lot of commercial areas.
Right, well, just for sake of optics in this case. I guess if this gets adopted, when it's on the website where you live, that it doesn't show an island, it shows the commercial area. Just like Conner Prairie, it shows on that one. I'm just, yeah, this is just a side.
I guess
How we drawing?
Thanks.
the question on that one, I think, really comes down to, and I struggle with the area of treating apartment people differently than homeowners. And Mike, can I ask a question about property taxes? Property tax rate on an apartment versus property tax rate on a house?
Yeah,
Are they the same?
they're not. On apartments, there is a 2% cap, and on residential rental property, there's a 1% cap. So although home renters are not
paying
paying,
more taxes.
yeah, actually, although renters are not paying directly, they are paying it through their rent, actually a higher property tax cap.
And I'd argue it's easier to move from apartment than it is from a house. If you're not happy with the school district.
But again,
And I get it. Right.
Yes.
but based on feedback.
I guess, just by virtue of that's kind of my neck of the woods, that Brook School's boundaries, Jack, you might know this, are not being built up. Within the Brook School boundaries, there is not the room for growth as there is in Geist Elementary. So one of my reasons for thinking this was a good idea is, yes, it would increase Brook School student station 106% and drop Geist to 99, but Geist has a lot more room for growth. Zach, in what you know about that area, is that true?
I mean, yeah, you're correct in saying there's not a whole lot of potential for growth, but again, that's something that's very hard to predict. So,
But there are still neighborhoods being built in the Geist area,
correct, yeah,
not necessarily
correct,
in the Brook School area.
right.
Second.
So I have a motion by Mr. Bishop and a second by Dr. Toole to approve the change we originally added to the preferred condition. Sorry to think about that. How to say it. Any further comments or questions on that?
You said only 6.
I have 9 kids in that catchment, on the catchment list, so I don't know how there's only 6. What size 9?
Other comments, questions? Yes. Those in favor of amendment C, being added to the preferred condition review plan, signify by raising your right hand. Those opposed, same sign. Passes 6-1. And,
That was to keep them.
yeah, they're staying in
That was
there.
to not move them. Right. That's my amendment.
Do I have any other further amendments?
I'd like to propose that the catchment 131 and 2, we have to maintain there at Durban. It's truly a sexual house.
I'll second that.
Wait, I'm watching the clock.
Well, she was saying that as far as this outgoing student.
Can I see, can we get a map of that somehow, where we're talking?
If you go back to about the second slide, I think it would have to be. Maybe you go back more and show the elementary lines. There you go.
Bowling Road would be boundary.
So it's the square, yeah, above Deer Path. So that green square would be pink rather than green.
So draw a line, does that Bowden, draw a line up Bowden and all that chunks?
My fear though is the increase in population coming in there.
So we would be adding 66 kids back to Durban Elementary School.
So how many did you say, Amanda, did you notice?
Catchment 131 and 132. Was that the question?
Yeah, but I was wondering about, yeah, I understand that part.
And
but
the fourth graders
fourth
out?
graders be part of it.
131, 132. 14 greater than the ones coming.
Oh, greater than
Greater than.
66. Okay.
There's more going out than
Than coming
coming in almost every single situation.
And in that number, how would that affect the overcrowding?
Pretty much status quo is now.
Yeah.
We would require that we retain
The portables
Right.
stay.
because of the priorities that we were given
Well,
to create this.
okay,
So
okay. What are we going to do?
about 100 kids in those portables, 25 portable. It would increase the capacity 500.
66.
Require additional approvals.
That sounds like no.
No, they don't stay put.
That's what I was asking.
I'm concerned about that.
Yeah, we're gonna have.
Well, in 2 or 3 years, we'll hear that in Durban.
Well, not too
Well,
much.
that's not.
Well, that's what Harry wants.
The earliest we could probably open here. But there's a lot of that stuff to go through.
What?
Dr. Carnes, you have a
We also believe those areas to be growth areas as well. I think it's important that the board do that as well.
Yes.
So 66 this year would be something more than that next year. Yeah, that's good. Our interest rates can go up or down.
I second, she's saying it. Okay, I'm second on Durban.
Okay, so I have a motion. So this would, we'll call this E. We made it our, Amendment E, which would be to take the square, which is Gatchett 130, around 132. It's essentially the Finch, I think it was the Finch Creek area where the new sports center was put and so forth. That would include about 6 subdivisions out there.
Summerlin Park, Blackstone Woods, Turnberry at the Park, Waterman Crossing, Blue Ridge Creek.
So what would be the numbers for Southeastern if we pull these kids out? How much of it, like, small enough that we couldn't support special area teachers the first year it's open? Because they're, you know, they don't have.
In the first year, that's a real possibility.
Could there be an option for some of those individuals to go to Southeastern if they so choose with their transportation?
Well, there's always transfer of people.
Because you were saying there were some individuals who were very fine going to Southeastern.
Hey Jeff, is there, or whoever's got controls of the computer, can that be zoomed in bigger so that we can see the actual numbers on where Durban is and where Southeastern is? So Southeastern Elementary School, we have, under this proposal, where is it?
It's 81 down there, cost.
So we have it 548, so it's gonna be, it would be at 480 on a 675 capacity. Durban would be at 339 plus 66, so roughly 20%. So it would be about 400. How many are currently in Durban? Do we know?
Yeah, 33.
How many?
How many students do we currently have in Durban?
424, I think,
What's the capacity of that building?
With the 4 portables.
we're saying the capacity here is 338.
So if
Plus-
we assume portables, 4 portables, it's about 100 more than that.
Yeah.
For 4 fourth grades would be the equivalent of it.
So it gives us very little room for growth if we do this.
And the ways to do it southeastern.
It takes it down.
That's a pretty big problem.
You know, I think from a discussion standpoint, and, you know, I'd like people to be able to have a choice and feel like they've done something a bit on the fly, where I think between transfer appeal and grandfathering, you know, there might be some tolerance. You know, I don't know, Matt, did you get some feedback from folks that are excited to go to Southeastern? So I think maybe that's something that could be managed that way, you know, where they go to Southeastern as far as they're really districted, but maybe with more data and more information, maybe we could keep the portables and enough one to stay without shortchanging Southeastern or the people there that might be really excited to go to Southeastern. That's my 2 cents. I can't make eye contact with you. I want you to be able to go. I'll come pick you up. It's not that far. But I think it's just a little willy-nilly. You know, I think it's a dangerous thing. We don't have, I mean, I trust Amanda's numbers, but it's real like gunslinging. I think between grandfathering, transfer appeal, the potential to leave the portables and not, you know, because I think, talk about blindside, if there's 50 kids in those neighborhoods that are dying to go to Southeastern, you talk about a last minute change.
So under the transfer appeal, even someone who's not in third, fifth, or seventh, they could still appeal potentially to go to Durban.
Or Southeastern. Oh, you're saying either direction?
If we left it as Southeastern, they could still appeal.
Yes.
Whether it would be honors. Whether they would have to provide their own transportation.
This group was changed immediately prior to the last meeting, though, so they were staying at Durban throughout. Cluster meetings, parent meetings, scenario 1, scenario 2, 3, 4, 5, Fisher's High School meetings, they were staying.
Yeah, so was the,
Right?
How about, what about the old ones right here?
So,
Scenario 1.
That's just my 2 cents. I mean, that's doing what we're really trying not to do, especially if we just don't know where, I think the new board, you know, after the dust settles, we know who wants to accept the grandfathering, and then, yeah, I just think it's not enough. For me, personally, 1 to 7, it's not enough data there.
who else are we moving away from Durban? Which other neighborhoods? Which other area are we taking away from Durban? That could, because there's others that could appeal, because we've reduced the number there by 100. But we're taking it down by 100. So there's another thing. My concern with it is, I have no idea what kind of problem we're creating in a year, 2 years from now, 3 years. 3 years, maybe not an issue.
It's a big problem because it's not an issue.
And then we might have to do an emergency redistricting because whatever.
That's what I was asking, the utilities there, how well they can hold on.
Are we emptying those tanks twice a year now?
The mound systems, we're not doing anything with mound systems other than treating them, right? The sanitary system there is a mound system, and other than maintaining it, we don't know how much more that can take. It's a mound system, it has no sewers to the property. And then the water system is.
Yeah, I will say that, you know, we struggle all the time keeping adequate water pressure out there. We do a lot of maintenance on the systems, so the systems are being taxed right now.
and will it create an emergency situation 2 years down the road with sewage and overcrowding?
Or do all this clean? I mean, for schools where.
So it's part of this question. further comments or questions?
But I do feel their pain. I do.
Further comments or questions? Otherwise, I'll call for the question. Those in favor of approving amendment E, which would be changing those, the remainder of those two captions, one for Durham and one for to, back to Durham, and including it as part of the preferred plan, signify by raising your right hand. Those opposed? That amendment fails.
Mr. President, I'd like to make a motion that we approve grandfathering for 3rd, 5th, and 7th graders and transfer appeals. For those students who want to provide their own transportation.
So does that mean that anybody that appeals gets it? Well, isn't that in place right now, that any student in the district, any can appeal to go anywhere?
They can appeal, we generally review those appeals and some of them are not.
So how would, like, I get the
For
grade.
the 3rd, 5th, and 7th, grandfather is automatic. Any other appeals would have to be considered whether there's space.
What would be the criteria then?
Space, and space is an option or not an option. If there is sufficient space, we do, on our road for the most part, medical appeals are generally on. If there's, I suppose if there's space, it's
But are you counting a portable as space?
And that's what we as the board said, we want to be rid of as many portables as possible.
Now, there could be a caveat on that, because if we find that grandfather requires that we maintain a portable, at least for a year, there could be space.
The original priorities from the August work session list as the very first priority portable placement. There was not a goal in the initial August work session to reduce portables. That came after, that was a dot that was added later. That was not in the original work session. It was portable placement.
Guess what he's saying?
I'm saying this idea that we said we were going to get rid of all the portables was not in the initial discussion.
Well, what do you mean by portable placement? Yeah, I mean, to minimize the.
Right.
Just to revisit the transfer idea, we approved grandfathering. There may be certain numbers of students get grandfathered to a school that requires them to keep a portable, which would leave additional seats available for some students to transfer for that period.
And that's where I think in that Durban case, I think that's a good discussion. You know, maybe there's a tolerance out there in Texas students. You know, if it's going to work with the utility and it's not going to cause not to be able to have programs in Southeastern, and very well may accommodate all of our people voicing that now, feeling that 11-hour change for the people that are shining. Yeah,
So we have 10 grandfathered students, you have a portable 25, and you have 15.
Right. And maybe it makes sense to keep the second portable to accommodate more transfer appeals. I think that's for the new board with a little bit more data and research if it's feasible in practice.
Can you explain the transfer appeal process, how that would work?
Well, to this point, it's gone to the review committee and make determinations. At one point, it was just honored if it was a medical appeal. But since then, we have been pretty liberal in our allowance. There's room to generally allow. And I don't know, would that be
And with the one, we do look at space, but we also look at by class size and particular grade levels. So we're looking at the space of the building, one, but we're also looking at class size. Can we put more kids in that class size without maybe the class size?
That portable service is a fourth grade, and it's a second grade appeal, and there's no room in the second grade to use it.
Exactly, so we look at it from two perspectives.
My assumption, sorry, with my motion would be that grandfathering would be automatically accepted, and then the review would be for anything that's not considered.
Yeah, I think the grandfather is a great thing. I think in practice, it turns out, if they go visit each open house, a lot of people choose not to do it, but.
So, you do have a motion on the floor, on the grandfathering. So we have a motion by Mr. Bauer, a second by Mrs. Sheeran. Sorry. So it's fast enough. So just to clarify, this is grandfathering 3rd, 5th, 7th graders automatically, and anyone else would be reviewed on a case-by-case process. And under that appeal, they have to select one, which is our.
So when you grandfather, as part of the deed, transportation is provided. Not grandfather, okay.
Okay, and that's on, I'm sorry, that's on the slide, so let's go back to that slide. Yeah, it was one of the recommendations on the slide.
Dr. Bourff, if I may add one thing, so that we have a way to track it, we would request that anybody taking the grandfather option, they would be asked to file paperwork by a certain date, so that we would know how many portables that we're going to need there. So although it might be an automatic appeal, we would still ask parents to submit something in writing to us so that we would be able to track those students and appropriately account for all the places.
So what kind of time frame do you need on that?
Well, you know, we would give them probably into early February to make that decision. We'd have to make staffing decisions around that as well. You know, if we have too many opt-in or grandfathering, we have to leave the appropriate staff at the building as well.
So there will be some type of a stagger or something?
Yeah, that's correct. I just don't want people to think that it's going to be automatic and there won't even be a need to file paperwork. We still need some tracking, some way of tracking students.
And just a procedural comment, that if you do approve the main motion, that is contained in the main motion as well.
Yes, yes.
Oh, okay.
Dr. Carnes, I had one question too before we go further. If we had a mass amount of people that wanted to do the appeal, what would that drop our utilization rate at Southeastern?
Well, that could be rather significant. It's really hard to take that shot in the dark without having the programs in front of us to actually run those kinds of numbers. It'd be something you want to watch because you need to fill that now. We do expect that school to grow, but it will grow, over a period of time and not immediately. So we have to be careful in terms of what the impact that has on the programs themselves.
And then I had a question for Harry. Harry, how taxed is that sewer system? I mean, if this thing goes down, what are we going to do for bathrooms?
Well, monitoring it all the time, and we've been lucky enough to snap things when they do go down, but we wouldn't have any other options if it did say. That's all we've got.
So you want to call the truck every day? Can't you pump the mound system, Harry?
You do that as well, I think.
As I say, you can pump those out, I think.
Just to clarify, that grandfathering would apply to any student in any of the schools that's being moved.
Yeah, it's
All-
not
all of
guaranteeing
them.
the transfer, just on our grandfather.
I know we talked a lot about Durban, the west side. This
This
would
is
apply
not
to just anyone who's being impacted.
Okay. So, given that, to clarify, Dr. Carnes, you're saying that's already included in the original motion, the original recommendation.
If you
But
want to
Mike-
make it stronger and pass it separately, by all means, you're certainly welcome to do that, but it is contained in the main motion.
Okay, I'm sorry, I did not realize that.
But to put a point of emphasis on it, we can still
I thought these were separate.
do it up, down on it. So, we okay, we'll still vote on that amendment. So those in favor of the amendment for the grandfathering and allowing the appeal, signify approval, then signify by raising your right hand. Those opposed,
This is the appeal process. They resign. So that passes 7-0. So, any other amendments?
I do want to look at that last one. I would like some clarification on that. The 8% of the HIDge that's then going to Fishers, or going to Fishers Junior High, but then they're redistricted, they're districted high school-wise to come to HSE. Where do those kids currently go to intermediate junior high school? It's that square right there, or not square, that triangle
or straight
at the
to the leg.
intersection of 69.
It's kind of like a falcon nose sticking out there.
They currently go to the hitch.
They
They currently go to the hitch. In that larger brown area at the bottom there, that's Hamilton Town Center. Really, the area in that whole brown area that has students in it is Deer Chase Apartments. And so it's the top part of that, right along the old Greenfield Avenue.
So currently, we do have kids who go to the HIDge who are districted to go to Fishers? No, I'm sorry. Yes.
Sand Creek or
Go
Fishers.
ahead,
There are some
Here,
kids that are,
so we have
Yes.
only one true school, intermediate junior high, that feeds directly to the high school, and that's Bourff Creeks, correct?
that's correct.
So what's our percentage right now that is leaving the HIDge to go to Fishers, and how many of those students
But right now, excuse me,
stay at
if you could
HSE?
turn the mic on. That area right now is in the Hitch area for an intermediate school. But their high school boundary is Fishers High School. So that's their natural feeder pattern right now. So that exists now. But we do have 6 students that actually opt to go to HSE High School versus going to their natural feeder pattern of Fishers High School.
And this is mostly Deer Path Apartments?
It is
Deer Chase.
Deer Chase.
Did you say Deer Chase? Deer Chase has 60 high school students, catchment 74, and
That's
only
6
6 go to
6 are choosing to go to HSE.
54 at Fishers, and 6 at Hamilton Southeastern. Was that your question, Mrs. Caldwell? I think so. Okay.
This
I'm sorry.
confuses me a lot, looking at this.
They're really choicing the other way.
So they're
Yes.
choicing to go to Fishers.
No,
They're choicing to go to HSE.
there's 6 students that are choicing to go to HSE.
Just 6 of the 60 are
It
choosing.
is confusing. It is the opposite of what you might think.
So
They
For
are,
the record, I don't think choicing is a verb.
Would be choose.
oh, that's a good point, Matt. English thing. So,
Maybe
okay,
that's what it is.
can you say that again? Of these, let's say currently we have 8% of the kids who are at the HIDge but are supposed to go to Fishers.
no.
No.
They-
That's in this, what currently we're not.
Right, under this model here, they would still go to the Hitch, but their feeder pattern, a natural feeder pattern, is the high school boundary, which is Fishers High School. And right now, we have 6 kids choosing to opt out of Fishers and go to HSE. They're going to the Hitch and they're opting to go back to HSE. 6 of the total that Amanda.
Of the 60.
So they're at. and I should
They're at the
read it.
Hitch,
Yes,
and then
they're
they
at
go on.
the HIDge.
But they go on to Fishers High School.
So this one, because I threw this out there too, not really understanding it, but just saying that 8%, and somebody mentioned it in their comments, and I completely agree. I know this one would split Bourff Creek 13%, 87%, but I agree that a 9-year-old will adapt a lot better than a 14-year-old. And you can argue there's a bigger amount who are going to Sand Creek Intermediate. They're going together. It's a smaller group that's going together, and a larger percentage of that smaller group as opposed to the Hitch where it's 8%. So, Do we have feedback from the community about, did we get much feedback on this one?
We got a fair amount of feedback on high school changes. I don't know that it's specific to this, but there are numerous people saying, please draw the line. Others are saying, please let us keep choice. I don't know that you can say for sure which is weighing more, but.
And I don't know if this information is, but I know we looked at this 5 or 6 times. I think it's better to go back to the Rubik's Cube metaphor. And every time we tried to fix it, we could not make it any better than what you're looking at. But we did look at that, I know at least 5 or 6 times, and it sounds like I might be exaggerating, I'm not.
Well, and then the other issue is, yes, those kids have choice, but the whole equity, the transportation issue. If they want to stay with their peers, they would have to go to HSE and find their own transportation. Is that correct? Or am I saying the opposite of what I heard?
That is correct, but that's not been what's happened.
The majority are staying at Fisher's is
Correct. Majority of them are not opting to go back to HSE.
So majority are basically leaving their junior high intermediate
Yes.
peers and
Correct.
going with people they don't know.
Correct. Right now, except for 6 of them. Except for 6 of them.
And are they making that choice because they don't have any other option because of the transportation?
No, last year we offered transportation.
We did in that neighborhood, but they were, say that again, 54 are going,
54 stayed with their home.
and they're going to Fisher's.
Well, yeah, what is the assigned schools then? Because I just have what's going on now. What are the assigned schools for next year?
What do you mean?
I mean, I have that they're at Thorpe Creek, then they go to the Hedge, then they go to Fisher's High School.
It's no change.
It's no change,
The concern is that it's 8% that are moving, but that's the way it's set.
but they chose to go that direction.
Only the 6.
Only the 6.
So this was a question I think Michelle you had in the feedback. Just to
Right.
It breaks
Look
the
at,
fear.
could you
It
bring
breaks
up
the fear
8%?
And then
And this is
my
what-
other, I mean, to
the way
me,
it's
if we move them to Sand Creek Fishers Junior High, that would make them more capacity. The growth is happening in the Hedge District, not happening in Fishers Junior High Sand Creek District. And to me, they'd be sticking with their peers, going to Fishers Junior High, Sand Creek, or Sand Creek Intermediate, Fishers Junior High, and then on to Fishers High School, which to me is ideal. That 5 through 12 feeder system, well, ideal is K through 12, but we're not gonna get that done the way our schools are. So, I don't know, I look at it like, it would be nice to have 2 schools that are true feeders. You know, granted, they're all on the east side, but I don't know, I guess if nobody's upset about the way it is, then why should I change it? Or why should I make the motion to change it? Because I can't change it myself.
Does that mean you're not making a motion?
I'm not making a motion.
Okay. So, any other amendments? Otherwise, we'll move forward with the preferred plan with the, I think it was 3 approved amendments. Does that sound right, Vicki? We approved 3 of them?
Yeah, because there was another bonus one.
No.
Oh, no, we only approved 2, you're right.
No, this is Anchorage.
We approved
Oh, sorry.
A and,
We revote on that. No, the Anchorage, we said.
Anchorage, yes, and
The Logan's one,
Yeah,
they were
three.
Logan's,
But
Logan's.
then we added
yes.
E
On the new
for the
Yeah,
grandfather.
and they want to revote.
yes.
Yeah.
These options.
Anybody want to?
so, any further comments or questions about the overall redistricting plan as it's been amended with those 3 amendments? The third of which is not a school move, but a grandfather, including the grandfather. Any further comments or questions? So the amendments are moving Logan,
Yes.
moving Anchorage back to their home schools, and then the grandfather was the third amendment.
No,
We-
The amendment was that.
We did not approve number 1.
River?
That didn't pass. Oh, we can't revote on it. I'm up for revoting if they change their mind, but I don't think that's going to happen.
On D, I don't know if you ever mind.
going to call for the question on the overall redistricting plan. So those in favor of the preferred plan with the three amendments, signify by raising your right hand. Those opposed, same sign. Passes 7-0. Dr. Carnes' project is finished. Actually, now there's logistical steps to go through. So, next up on the agenda. Okay, sorry,
We're really not done.